So today, I have put this off, and I just can't wait any longer. I'm going to be speaking on the hashtag MeToo, stuff that's been going on for months. And to start off, we're going to start off with a funny take on these topics. Once that gets set up, yes, down at the bottom. Bring it over. Yeah, good. Yep, and then you'll need to have sound on it too. So
If
you're
you're
welcome
still
to laugh at
struggling
this.
with consent, just imagine instead of initiating sex, you're making them a cup of tea. You say, "Hey, would you like a cup of tea?" And they go, "Oh my God, I would love a cup of tea, thank you." Then you know they want a cup of tea. If you say, "Hey, would you like a cup of tea?" And they're like, I'm not really sure. Then you can make them a cup of tea, or not, but be aware that they might not drink it. And if they don't drink it, then, and this is the important bit, don't make them drink it. Just because you made it doesn't mean you're entitled to watch them drink it. And if they say, "No thank you," then don't make them tea at all. Just don't make them tea. Don't make them drink tea. Don't get annoyed at them for not wanting tea. They just don't want tea, okay? They might say, "Yes, please, that's kind of you." And then when the tea arrives, they actually don't want the tea at all. Sure, that's kind of annoying as you've gone to all the effort of making the tea, but they remain under no obligation to drink the tea. They did want tea, now they don't. Some people change their mind in the time it takes to boil the kettle, brew the tea, and add the milk. And it's okay for people to change their mind, and you are still not entitled to watch them drink it. And if they're unconscious, don't make them tea. Unconscious people don't want tea, and they can't answer the question, "Do you want tea?" because they're unconscious. Okay, maybe they were conscious when you asked them if they wanted tea, and they said yes, but in the time it took you to boil the kettle or brew the tea and add the milk, they are now unconscious. You should just put the tea down, make sure the unconscious person is safe, and this is the important part again, don't make them drink the tea. They said yes then, sure, but unconscious people don't want tea. If someone said yes to tea, started drinking it, and then passed out before they'd finished it, don't keep on pouring it down their throat. Take the tea away. Make sure they are safe, because unconscious people don't want tea. Trust me on this. If someone said yes to tea around your house last Saturday, that doesn't mean they want you to make them tea all the time. They don't want you to come around to their place unexpectedly and make them tea and force them to drink it, going, "But you wanted tea last week," or to wake up to find you pouring tea down their throat, going, "But you wanted tea last night." If you can understand how completely ludicrous it is to force people to have tea when they don't want tea, and you are able to understand when people don't want tea, then how hard is it to understand when it comes to sex? Whether it's tea or sex, consent is everything. And on that note, I'm going to make myself a cup of tea.
I know, silly video for a very important topic. In truth, I really don't want to be here today. I don't want to preach on this topic, and I've managed to put it off this long. I don't want to believe that women all over the world have this much pain in their life. I don't want to talk about my own sexual harassment experiences. I don't want to talk about my own sexual assault experiences. But I don't want secrets to rule the day. I don't want untold stories to keep holding in pain and suffering. I don't want silence anymore. I don't want to be the one to have to tell the woman's perspective. And I am sorry that it has taken me this long to talk about the hashtag MeToo stuff. Even more than all of these I don't want to be quiet anymore. So I don't know if you know this, but January 2018 is an unusual month. January 2018 has two things happening in the same month. And it's caused a phrase to be real that we might use very casually. Perhaps you have said it yourself. Perhaps you have said the phrase, once upon a blue moon. Actually, that phrase means that what's that called, that moon called? I've already forgotten. Yeah, supermoon. Thank you, Ailey. Oh, that's where I get for not writing it down. I knew it and then I didn't know it. So it's where a supermoon happens twice in 1 month. Now, a supermoon is where two things happen. A full moon happens at the same time as the ellipse of the moon is at its closest to planet Earth. So there's the shortest amount of distance between the moon and the Earth, and it's a full moon. And that happens twice in a month. The last time that we've had that happen twice in a month was 150 years ago. So blue moon is happening on Tuesday night. Tuesday night, look up at this huge big moon. It will look really big, and now you'll know why. And you'll go, gosh, this is once in a blue moon, right? This is once in a blue moon. I feel like that is what's happening with the hashtag #MeToo. That once in a blue moon, all voices line up and really speak really loudly, and our power can change the world. So this is what we're feeling now. This is why it just keeps coming up. Every time you turn the news on, somebody else had the strength to make, to declare their story, and then accusations are brought up against someone. And so, we've got this blue moon experience happening, this rare thing that we can be a part of such an amazing change to let women's voice be heard more clearly. So I, as a United Methodist pastor, want to share a story in the Bible that I call my Me Too story. Hashtag #MeToo. It's in the Bible as well. It's not a story that I'm particularly proud is in the Bible, but to know that women's voices are so rare, and this voice is so crystal clear. So the story is in 2 Samuel chapter 13, and the story is that King David had multiple wives. That's a totally different story. But this is about his children. He had his firstborn son, Amnon, was absolutely in love with his sister, not his birth mother sister, but half-sister, absolutely in love with Tamar. Now, there's another Tamar story in the Bible, too, that's also really bad about women, but this one is probably one that you might not know about. My guess is you've never heard it, maybe even never read it, and certainly never heard a sermon on it. But this is Tamar, and she's the daughter of King David. And her half-brother is in love with her. And he's connived away through trickery to have some time with her. He's pretended to be sick. And he got this idea from a friend, so he's talked with a friend, and they come up with this plan to trap her, to trap Tamar. And so he pretends that he's sick, and he requests for Tamar to bring a meal into his bedroom on his sick bed. And so Tamar, out of care for her brother, prepares a meal for him and thinks she's treating a sick man. And so she comes into his bedroom to take care of him, and she says, so Tamar took the cake and she made and brought them into the chamber of Amnon, her brother. But when she brought them near him to eat, he took hold of her and said to her, come, lie with me, my sister. She answered him, and this is the clearest #MeToo voice you will find in the Bible. No, my brother, do not force me, for such a thing is not done in Israel. Do not do anything so vile. As for me, where can I carry my shame? And as for you, you would be one of those scoundrels of Israel. Now, therefore, I beg you. But he would not listen to her, and being stronger than she, he forced her and lay with her. Now, this is not an uncommon story for even today, but what she did then, after this story, is why this is in the Bible. But Tamar put ashes on her head and tore the long robe that she was wearing and put her hands on her head and went away crying aloud as she went. She didn't take it quietly. All the kings of the Bible that wanted to change their kingdom, that wanted to change their life, they put ashes on their head and they ripped their clothes in mourning and in discontent. And she took that on and put ashes on her head and made it quite public that harm had been done to her. She was not quiet. That is why you need to know Tamar. Here's a woman that not only did not consent, but then was not quiet. So with these ashes and with this not quiet attitude she had, her true full brother, Absalom, came up to her and said, her brother Absalom said to her, has Amnon, your brother, been with you? Classic response. Be quiet now, my sister. He is your brother. Women are repeatedly told to be quiet with their difficult stories. But she was recorded because she did not be quiet. And yet it's not a pretty story. The ending is not fantastic. The last sentence that we have of Tamar in the Bible is this. So Tamar remained a desolate woman. Now, I had to look up that word, desolate. Desolate means deserted of people and in a state of bleak and dismal emptiness. I don't want our modern stories to end like Tamar's. That's why when you turn the news on and it's one more story, I ask you to listen to it. I ask you to not assume, oh, she's just taking advantage of a situation. I ask you to be open to the small few voices that we have already heard of sexual harassment and sexual violence. Because in truth, it's a tip of the iceberg of what is really happening. here's my story, my hashtag Me Too. I've been told to follow my husband's career, let my husband have the career, and you just have the children. I've been paid 75% of comparable salary to men at my same level. I have had my bra snapped in public. I've had my breast grabbed in the hallway. I've been coerced and threatened when I said no to unwanted sexual activity. I've been told to say no to Me Too. I've been told to keep quiet, be nice, and most importantly, don't get angry. So I stand here not wanting to be here today. But this is why I do this. Because I don't want my daughter to live in a world where a single woman has to say, Me too. Instead, I want my daughter to live in a world where there's not a single Me Too. I want equal pay for my work. I want women to have control of their bodies, and that is not too much to ask. I want sex to be beautiful rather than scary. I want women's difficult stories to be told and received with compassion. I want no one, women or men, to be desolate and alone in their sexual shame. I want women's wounds to be cared for and healed. I want that which is broken to be made new. I want women to be proud of who they are. I want every voice to be heard. I want my God to be a woman, like a mother hen, to gather us all in. I want a different world. Let us all say, Amen. Amen. That's all I have. Please remain.